Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be covering the topic Stop Planning and Start Fixing. My name's Sean. I'm head of sales here at Drupal Partners. Binary Works. We are formerly Drupal Partners, going by Binary Works now. We rebranded about a year ago. And then joining me today is the CTO, Karthik. Okay, so before we dive in, as I said, a note for who this is for. We've designed the session for two audiences at once. So people who run and manage the websites and developers who build them. So we'll be switching between the plain English and some technical jargon, as I said. If anything has confused you that hasn't been clarified, please enter that in the chat and we will clarify that for you. Or if there's any other topics that you have that come up that relate to the slides that we haven't addressed, enter those topics or those questions and we will address them as it comes up. We'll be monitoring the chat. Okay. And what we're doing is we'll be bringing it back to then what this means for you and your sites and your business. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is the different types of audits. So we're going to look at the AEO audit, and then we'll work on the AI discovery audit, our performance audit, our accessibility audit, security audit, and then on-site search and knowledge audit. But let's take it a step back. So first, let's check in, make sure everyone can hear me. If you can, please, if I know they have little emotes down at the bottom, if you can give me a thumbs up, some type of reaction, let me know my audio is coming through okay. Thank you, DJ. Awesome. Now for those people who are hitting those buttons, going to ask for some audience participation on this part too. So quick question to everyone that is watching. Has anyone run an SEO audit in the last 12 months? If you have, can you give me a thumbs up? Okay, looks like Jeff has. Good. One step ahead. DJ also. Okay, so some of you, they're coming in. That's good. And then a follow-up to that. How about an AI readiness audit? Has anyone here had that run the past 12 months? Okay, good. So some of you are ahead of the game. So hopefully it'll be a review of what you know, and we'll introduce some new concepts to you and some things you could take home and take away and implement within your own sites. Okay, so here's the reality that we keep seeing. AI-powered search is changing how people find information online. So tools like ChatGPT, Google's AI Overview, and Perplexity are now answering questions directly, and they pull their answers from websites. So if your site isn't set up to be read and understood by AI, you're simply not in the conversation. So what we found, and this applies to most Drupal sites, is that there's usually just 3 to 5 fixes that unlock a majority of AI search visibility. The problem is that the work is complicated. It's not that the work is complicated, it's that the problem is that nobody's looked. So that's what we're doing here today with those 6 audits I mentioned earlier that are outlined within the agenda. One real Drupal site, and we'll review those 6 audits on a real Drupal site and show you those findings live on screen. And we'll tell you what to fix and whether it'll take an hour or it'll be a sprint. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Karthik, and he'll be leading us through the audits and the live demos and the explanations.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sean, for the great introduction there. So this is Karthik. As Sean said, I'm one of the I'm the technical side of CTO for the binary works, and so we are going to discuss each topic today. I'm going to first start with AEO audit. So what is AEO, which is primarily stands for Answer Engine Optimization. What does it mean? It is like, can AI engines like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity can understand and extract the content on our website? So that is basically AEO audit. So understanding of the content is that's a key about this audit basically checks whether your site's content is written and organized in a way that makes it easy for AI to pull out a clear, codable answers. So, I'm going to talk about each and every one of this. Like when you structure the website, think of it like it is a textbook. So it is the answer to each question we have to write clearly, in its own paragraph with an heading. So there are certain, kind of schema setup that we need to do. We have to check whether the website has, passing all those as basic best practices for these engines to crawl the web, content and read the content from the website. For example, let's talk about FAQ schema, right? So like when you create like content, like you have to create separate schemas for FAQ, how to claim review. We'll talk about this, and then like for example, we when you we have to structure the content. Like schema markup is basically a structured data added to each page so that Google and as well as the other AI systems can understand your content clearly. Okay, so the format, like there are different schema types, like FAQ schema for FAQ pages, how to schema for step-by-step instructions that you're putting on the page. Claim review schema is basically for fact check content, and speakable schema is basically for content suitable for if you're putting a voice assistance. So we have also given some examples in the upcoming slides. I'll show you that. And like for example, like when you're talking about entity disambiguation, so what does it mean is like, is there a verified, is your organization a verified organization or a person or an entity linked to the site? So that is what it is getting validated. Like basically who your what is your brand represents, who this company is and what they are doing. So that has to be clearly explained through the entity identity. Okay. And we also need to set up the EEAT signals, which basically like stands for experience, expertise, or authoritativeness and trustworthiness. So, like things like when you write a blog or a content, we need to add credentials markups like who wrote the content, why this content is qualified, what are the credentials for the content writer. So those kind of signals have to be present on the content creations. Okay, and the passaging indexing readiness is basically how you chunk the content at different paragraphs for AI extraction. It is not the entire content. AI even indexes like individual paragraphs. Like all these AI engines, including Google, ranks individual paragraphs as well, not just the whole page itself. Okay, so like, and the last one, canonical tag conflicts across duplicate answers. Like, it basically tells these AI engines which page is the primary version, and which with proper canonical tags. Like, if without, if you're putting proper canonical tags, and if there is a primary content on the page and it is not referenced, Google might consider them as duplicate content. So we have to also create like proper canonical tags to tell to AI engines that this is a primary page and there are like child pages based on this canonical tag. Okay. So, like the next thing, like what we are going to do is like also going to walk you through some live site through some tools that we have created. I'll show you like how the scores and those things will look like. So, like these are the things that I talked about. Like so during the audit, we will be basically identifying like whether you whether all your schemas are properly set, any missing schemas, or any answers are buried in long paragraphs. So, or like if there are any orphaned Q&A blocks not tied to any schema type, and whether your brand entity is absent or in the Google Knowledge Graph. So we'll be verifying all these things during the audit, and we'll be letting you know what needs to be fixed. We'll be letting also we'll be putting a priority on the issue, and like we'll tell you like what is the low priority, medium priority, and those kind of things. So this is an example schema structure. So basically all the schema has to be written through a JSON LD format. So this is for FAQ schema, a structure like, an example FAQ schema structure. It should clearly have the type FAQ page, the main entity, the question and answer followed by that. And similarly, this is the entity identity organization schema. So who the company is, and what the company, the other URLs that are linked to the company has to be written here. These are just examples, and if we find during the audit, we will be able to clearly identify any schema misses, and then we'll be able to show that what needs to be fixed. Okay, so this is how the structure will look like. What is missing and what needs to be fixed, and the effort and impact. So I'm going to show a live demo of a page. Like this is one of our proprietary tools, where it's a free tool where we can do an audit. So this is for the website, one of our client website, which is under construction. So we just wanted to show how things can be identified. Like if you see, it clearly gives a score of AEO readiness score, like 43 out of 100. The reason being, it validates different things like content clarity, structured data, readability, even the SEO part of it, and the trustworthiness, and media out coverage. And so we also, if you wanted to, if that particular page doesn't have contents like FAQs or how to or instructional contents, and if it is relevant, through the tool, we can also, this AI generative tool will also help in generating those FAQ questions for you. So this is what, generated, question through this. And you can also directly copy the FAQ JSON LD, like, for example, the preview is given here from this and directly utilized on the website. And so it also gives you actionable recommendations, what needs to be done so this improves your SEO as well as your AEO citations and SEO rankings as well. Any questions here? Okay, I'll move on. The next is AI discoverability audit. So what is the difference between AEO, which is we just spoke about, like answer engine optimization audit, and AI discoverability audit? So answer AEO typically tells what AI can understand and how AI can understand and extract your content. And AI discoverability is all about, can AI engines can find, crawl, and cite your content. So basically, AEO is making your content AI ready, readable, and discovery is making your content AI findable. Okay, so like I mean, mostly AEO focuses on content structure, and AI discoverability focuses on crawlability and visibility. Okay, like for example, like live citation. Like we have to make sure your robot or text as clear directives for each bot, like GPT bot, Perplexity bot, Cloud bot. So we have to allow or disallow, like what bots to crawl. Okay, um, just a minute. I'm sorry, I'm kind of having a fluffy nose today. So basically, this is basically a citation test, which basically tells you whether the site is visible or readable or crawlable through this answer engines. So for to get it crawlable, we have to do certain things on the back end, like as I said, like setting up your robot.txt directives for all these bots. And also the new like robot.txt, we also recommend using llms.txt, which is basically tells the present structure and priority of content paths to be crawled by these answer engines. Again, there is these llms.txt we are still kind of evaluating with our customers, because it does, I mean, we have not seen a significant change when we add this lms.txt, but it is being recommended. But we feel that slowly these crawling will use this llms.txt to validate what pages to crawl, like similar to what we have like robot.txt for SEO. Okay, and then so during this process, during the live citation audit, we'll querying, we'll query for each engines like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Google AI, Google, Gemini, and we will for certain topics that your website is answering, we will query those, and we'll see whether your website is getting cited for in those engines for those queries. And we also, to achieve this, we have to work on these, schema coverage and all the setups. Along with, we also highly recommend putting like content freshness signals, like, date modified, because update frequency, because these engines always look for fresh content. So we have to make sure our content, we have to put always the date modifier, and also, if there is a thin content, or like, if the canonical tags are not properly set up, as I said earlier, it also affects the AI discoverability as well. Along with AEO, it also affects the AI discoverability. Okay, so those are the things we'll be validating when we do the AI discoverability audit, like scrolling it for for or each and every engine. We will query for the content, or like for the questions that your website can answer. For We'll go and query those kind of questions and see where you are ranking in the citation, and we'll see like what needs to be done to improve those. So again, like I'm reiterating, AEO is mostly making your content readable, and the discoverability is making your content indexable or crawlable through this AI engines. Okay, so this is how an example, like, you have to, on the robot.txt, you have to make sure you have to allow the GPT bot, Perplexity bot, or Claude bot, or whatever, like, Gemini. So to make sure you're giving this allow, and if you don't want to, allow this, you can also provide like disallow. The reason being, this is very critical because there are also lots of bot attacks happening. So we have to differentiate the, the answer engine bots with the, the bots that is kind of, putting vulnerable content on the website. So this will clearly tell, like, so you allow only these bots and you don't allow the other bots. So we are highly recommending adding these. I mean, these are just examples that we have given here. There are other things also needs to be done to make it your website, crawlable. And also, example lms.txt is also given here. So like the primary entity tag tells like what is the example site, and what is the core business pages, and like how you differentiate your content, like, knowledge, FAQs, or product or services. So based on that differentiation of content, we also put those tags, and so we have to update llms.text according to that. Okay. So this is how the bot, the discoverability audit results will look like. It will tell you like, like where you stand. The same, report I showed you will also cover the discoverability part as well. So it will tell you what is the impact, and where you have already done good and what needs to be fixed. Okay. Any questions there? Sounds good. So let me move on to the third and most, I mean, another important aspect is like, this is not new. This has been already there. Performance audit, or core, core web vitals assessment audit. So it's not just page speed. It's about the user experience. So Google, definitely gives a very good high ranking signal for websites which loads faster. Okay, and it also push you down in AI. I mean, push you up in AI search results if your websites are loading faster. So they basically measure through three key core web vitals, which is like LCP, INP, and CLS. So on a layman terms, it is basically how fast the main content loads, and how responsive the page is when you're clicking something, or when you're doing some action on the website, how responsive is the website. And the third part is if there is anything, visually changing or jumping when the page is fully loaded versus the page when originally started loading. So these are the three things, like, that we basically measure for a page speed load. That is what we call, from the Google perspective, those are called core web vitals. Okay. So, like what this means is, like, on a technical side, so we have to, there are tools like PageSpeed Insights, and also like Chrome User Experience Report, where we can test and get a score, and it will tell you like what metrics that we are failing, what vitals we are failing, what is the score associated with those overall score, and what is the time it is taking to load on each of those vitals. And then we need to individually work on those fixes to help improve the performance scores. So as I said, this affects like two things. One is obviously SEO, and the second thing is also the answer engines, and the third thing is also user experience, which directly contributes to the conversion of the website. So this is a very critical test we would do like for any auditing that includes SEO or AEO audits. So we will be covering all these metrics like for, as I told, those three web vitals will be tested along with TTFB, which is basically time to first byte, which measures how fast the server responds. So it's not only the application side, it also the server side. So when a request is sent to the server and how fast it responds back with the response, so that is evaluated. So along with these three core web vitals, we'll also need to verify the TTFB benchmark, and we I mean the fixes includes lots of things like your JavaScript optimizations, your CSS optimizations, image optimization, and if you're using any third-party modules, dependencies. So like we have to review all those things and see what is contributing for the main thread load issues. And we have to create like either secondary threads to load like resources which are not required for the initial load. We can push them to another secondary thread. So again, the fix varies depending upon each page than the issues that we identify on the pages. That includes, as I said, JavaScript, image, CSS, third-party scripts, and everything. Okay, and even caching, like Google, Drupal by default uses like cachings like big by pipe, internal page cache, dynamic cache. So we have to see how we are effectively using these caching strategies. So whether whether we are loading static content first or load and dynamic content later. So for example, we have to load the header first, and then user menus loads after the header, and the content below the or above the footer pages can be loaded on a user scroll performance basis. So those kind of techniques have to be implemented when we depends upon the issue. So we typically use the tool called PageSpeed Insights. Most of people would have been aware of this tool. So if you put your website URL, it will tell you we already we also have our own proprietary tool which gives you more detailed data, but I'm just showing this to give you some understanding about the basic concepts here. So it has like two tabs which tells you like the scores between mobile and desktop, and it gives you scores for each vitals, like what is the load time for each vitals, and overall performance score for desktop separately and mobile separately. And the speed index will tell you for in a 4G kind of a network, what kind of speed index on average it is loading. So like now we could see clearly this website, the sample website we have been showing here, has a issue with on the largest contentful paint. And then we have to see I mean this gives you a high level picture like what needs to be done. And then we have to dive in deep on each of those insights and see what kind of scripts or files are loading on the back end is blocking the main thread. And then we have to see the criticality of that of that particular resource, and we have to come up with strategies whether we can prioritize them or move to a secondary thread, or like do we need to do some kind of aggregations if there are multiple JavaScripts, if we can do aggregations even on the CSS files as well. And if there are image issues, we have to see whether we need to optimize the images to modern formats like WebP. So there are lots different issues like starting from third party scripts, like how many scripts or third party scripts are slowing down the website, what could be an alternate for those third party scripts. So those things we have to identify for each and every page and fix according to it. Any questions there? So as I said, like the performance audit will cover all these reports individually for your website. And the most important thing, we have to do this performance report for all different templates on your website. If you're for your blog pages separately, your landing pages separately, your frequent, your product pages or collection pages separately, or like any other knowledge assistant, so we have to do this test separately for each and every aspect of the website. Okay. And then the accessibility audit. So WCAG guidelines is very critical when it comes to accessibility part, like, and also ADA compliance, like American Disability Act. So accessibility means making your website work for everyone. So including people who use like screen readers, keyboard navigations, or having like visual kind of impairments. So like, for example, like if your page heading jumps from a heading 1 straight to an heading 4, a screen reader user gets confused. So when you're using, when the AI is trying to understand the structure of your content, if your images don't have a descriptive text, a visually impaired user cannot understand them, and neither the Google Images AI will also not be able to understand that content. Okay, so accessibility is also the right thing to do, and search ranking factor. So we highly recommend giving importance to accessibility factors for the website as well. Okay. So, like what we do on the accessibility side, like for developers, like we have to test for, or we have to do WCAG to AA automated, both automated and manual audits. Okay. Starting with Act score violations at the critical and serious levels. Like for example, heading outline issues, H1, H2, H3 tags, hierarchy enforced across all page templates, alt attribute audit, whether it is decorative or versus informative pages. So we have to empty alt on decorative pages, and for descriptive alt, we have to add a descriptive alt tag for all the informative pages, informative images. And then like ARIA role misuse, like we have to make sure whether landmark roles, live regions, ARIA labels, or all the patterns are properly mapped, and color contrast ratios have to be verified. We can use the standards like APCA and WCAG 2.1 contrast analysis for doing the color contrast ratio analysis. And um, and if you're using files like downloadable PDFs or documents, we have to make sure the accessibility. We also need to verify the accessibility nature of those documents. We have to create like structure tags for those documents. The reading order has to be set, and we also need to create the alternate text content for those for those documents as well. Okay. So it is like this is how the audit will go. Like we'll be auditing all your alt text, and all the tags, color contrast failures, form fields missing labels, like ARIA rules misapplied. So skip navigation, like keyboard users, when we have to do a complete keyboard navigation test when we are using the tab button on the. So these are generic, high level tests. So I'll show you a quick example of like for the same website. Like for example, this website has a um, like an accessibility score of 16 out of 100, and like like there are top, it has identified like 8 critical issues. It's saying like images must have alternative text, and some images are not having an alternative text here. And it has identified the images that are having issues, and it also identified things like elements must meet minimum color contrast ratio. So this website is also failing on the color contrast ratio thresholds. So like we have to identify, and then there are tools that will tell you like what color contrast to be used. So we have to verify, and the like for example, this particular text, it is saying that make a gift as a color contrast ratio of 3.09 with its background. So we have to change the color for that particular text, and the same thing is applied, the same color contrast issue for another few aspects. So as I said, this website primarily has alt tags and color contrast issues, and based on each and every website, the things will change, like ARIA issues, like document alt tag issues. So we have to verify. There are tools like webability.io that will give you a clear explanation of all the accessibility issues, and we can also help fix those issues in after reviewing this. And there are like tools like Accessib, which will also allow you to personalize the customer experience for your website. So those tools will when you add those tools, customers or the users can change the website according to their needs. So if they are having any color issues, they can completely eliminate those color and change it to a new color. Or like if they wanted to increase the font size or decrease the font size, there are lots of things can be done for personalizing the experience for the users. There are both, there are both like fixes that needs to be done on the back end. Like all these issues I'm showing you through this audit report is all like that fixes needs to be done on the back end of the website. And on top of that, you can also create more personalized experience by using accessible kind of tools. And they can also save their preferences. So for every time they go to the website, so it still have their old preferences set, and it will come up with the changes they have edited or for the first time when they are using the website. Okay. So this is how the final report will look like, as I told you. Any questions so far? Sounds good. Let me move on to the security. See, there are different tools, like, especially these days, we have seen lots of complaint, even from lots of customers about the bot attack that they're getting, lots of bot attacks, coming. So we highly recommend, doing the proper, security updates on the back end. And also, like, if you're using like Cloudflare, CDN, or any kind of a CDN network, we would also recommend configuring it properly and start tracking, set up your Google Analytics properly to differentiate your bot traffic with your actual traffic. Okay. And like when it comes to the basic security things, like since the developers or the people who already might be aware, so we highly recommend checking the reports regularly. Like it will tell you clearly what are the available updates that needs to be done on the website perspective, like from the security standpoint, like what are the modules. Like for example, this example site I'm showing you, it has like Drupal core has to be updated, and all the modules that are yet to be updated. So it gives them the recommended versions. And then also, like when you go to the reports, you can also look into the error logs. We highly recommend checking the error logs. Like if you go to the error log, the log files, and filter for error logs, it will clearly tell you like, and if you do a filter on error here, it will tell you like what are the constant errors that are coming or hitting on the back end of the website. For example, this website has one particular queue. There is a suspend queue execution for this particular queue error is happening, that is happening on the core module. So we have to see what is the error, whether it's a cron job, whether that is critical for our kind of, there are any dependencies. And see, so, all the errors doesn't need to be fixed. So it depends upon the nature of the error. We need to review the error log, and depends upon what kind of issues it is causing on the back end. So we need to fix those errors for us. Okay. And then we also recommend, like always, check the access denied pages, 404 error pages. So all this basic reporting you can get from the Google, sorry, the Drupal report itself. So we highly recommend doing a monitoring on these. Like for example, all these pages are having like page not found errors. We have to go and fix this so that this also impacts your SEO rankings as well. Like if you have like more 404 errors, so it also impacts your SEO rankings. So we constantly recommend checking these and fixing the website for the security on the Drupal backend perspective. On top of that, as I said, like to prevent bot attack for Drupal website, so we have to do some configurations on your CDNs and other setup that you configurations on the back end to avoid the bot attack. So we have to do a audit. There is in and also there are certain third party apps like our modules we can use fake browser scrapers. Those will avoid that, so we would highly recommend also using those kind of third party modules, which will also be including in this presentation, which you can enable, and also check your firewall, enable like the web application firewall on your Cloudflare. And always start measuring the Cloudflare caching, or no, when I say Cloudflare, whatever CDN that you're using, and performance. So make sure it is caching everything, and it is also doing caching at the edge level and browser caching, and set limits for the cachings. So those kind of setup is always required, because we have to constantly clear the cache. We cannot leave them permanently on the customer's browser's website. So and also make sure like how far the time frame the bot is hitting the website. If there are bots that are frequently hitting on a certain time span, like multiple times, then there are clearly bots, and we have to manually kind of block those bots on the back end as well. Okay. So there is a separate kind of a bot attack audit, and security audit needs to be done, and see like where we stand, and then we have to fix things accordingly. Any questions on this part? So we have updated like all the measures from the bot attack, from the security standpoint perspective. Okay. And the last part is like on-site search and knowledge edit. Like with all the CI tools and modules coming up, even Drupal has included like the inside the core module itself, there is a knowledge assistant module. So we highly recommend exploring those modules. And there are also third party kind of modules available, and applications available to curate the content of the website and serve it in a more effective way to the end user. Like for example, how is your whether your current search is a keyword based or semantic based. So like the keyword based search is no longer people are more interested in a context based or semantic based AI powered search than a keyword match. Like for example, if you're in an educational website, and I'm going to search, I put a requirement, like I'm looking for a certain course which is valid for 2 years and or 1 year course, and this is my likings, and this is my areas of interest, right? So it has to pick the programs that is based on the customer query. It's not just the customer types, like type the keyword. It should not be a keyword to keyword mapping. It should understand the context, the search of the search the user is making, and pull the relevant content back to the website, so show the results back to the website. There are AI assistants we can use on the website, both on the search or even in the chat. And like we can also curate all the website content and create a knowledge assistant. It is basically like having a chat GPT for your website, and it addresses the question for the particular user. So I'll show you a couple of examples here. Like for example, on the chat, like, you have like, so if you have a specific question about, so this website is all about, like, establish yourself, I'm a car partner, and then you have a specific question, right, about that particular patient, or like, the like, for example, I'm asking, like, constant sweating is that a symptom? So it will tell you, like, it's going to it's not something, it's just pull me a blog. It just, understands the context of what I'm telling, and then it puts the relevant answers associated with follow-up questions, and also taking me to the proper resource pages. Okay, so this is a kind of knowledge assistance, or AI kind of so it basically indexes all the content. It not just the technical, or content types on your Drupal website. Also, like, if you're having content in any other sources outside the Drupal site, like CRMs, or your archived contents, like, even documented format contents like PDF files, documents. So it indexes all the content and pulls the best results based on the context of the user. And you can use it in the chat, or you can also, I'll show you some other examples. Like, you can also use it as a AI assistant, where you put a question, like, this is more for e-commerce based websites. Suggest me a product under a certain dollar, like, $50. So it just, pulls all those, context, and give me a results based on that particular context. So we the nature of the people are, searching the website, so, or like, going to engage with the website is changing. So we have to create more personalized experience based on the content that we have. So during the search audit, we will see whether your website is using semantic AI powered kind of a search engine, or you're just using keyword match. And then we'll also see if you are using either a search API or a vector based, semantic search. We'll also create a site search analytics report, like how many people are using the search, and from that search, what is a kind of a takeaway from the users, whether it is really helping them on navigation, or, during the lead conversion process. So we'll analyze that, and the report will give you like detailed measures of that. And we'll also look into your taxonomy structures, faceted search configurations, and the search results pages. We'll see, like, whether we are dynamically merchandising, or, like, what content we are showing on the top. So whether based on the context, like, whether it's the most relevant content we are showing. So we have to rank the, search results based on the more relevant ranking. We have to show those content onto the top. So as I said, we I mean, whether if your website is just sourcing the content from the Drupal backend, or it is also using any other third party resources, any drop, any, like, document management solution that you have. So if you have a document management like a DAM solution, we can also integrate that with this content and retrieve the results based on that. And moreover, we also need to be very careful when we are doing these kind of documents, as it is all AI. So we have to set proper guardrails as well, like, what needs to be crawled, what doesn't need to be crawled, and what kind of information needs to be shown to the customer. If you're in the healthcare business, like, we have to, make sure that we are not showing, like, like the patient MRIs, or, those kind of HIPAA compliant data are not shown to the customer. So those kind of optimizations, and also the guardrails also need to be properly set. And if you're using an existing semantic search solution, we have to see whether you have set up those guardrails as well for the end users. Okay. Any questions? With that said, we are coming to the end of the presentation. So these are all the different audit toolkits that we for AI readiness, and AI visibility improvement. We can work on these audits and see where your website stands individually, and we can give you a full reports. And if you're interested in any of these audits, we can you can definitely reach out to us. We can do a complimentary audit and for your websites, and based on the interest, we can show that. I'll stop here for questions. Sounds good. Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Okay, I see some questions here. Okay. So, what bot should I block via robot.txt? So, again, see, robot.txt is basically like we would recommend, putting, it's basically used to allow bots that you wanted to crawl. If you wanted to, there are two different bots, like, good bots, like what we talked about. And if you wanted to block bots, we have to go use things like Cloudflare, not on the robot.txt. Robot.txt text is basically you're telling, what to allow. And if you, for example, if you don't want, a certain, like for example, Bing bot to doesn't allow you can, put a disallow for particular Bing bot. But for bot attacks, like we would highly recommend using we'll be highly using like your Drupal configuration and your Cloudflare configuration to stop the bot attacks. It's not on the robot.txt. Yeah, yeah. I think will the recording be shared? Yes, definitely. Ian, we'll be sharing the recording along with the presentation to all the attendees. Any other questions? Okay. Yeah, so this doesn't, yeah, that works. That works. Jim, that if you put that, it will not allow GPT bot to crawl your website. Yes. If you don't want GPT bot to crawl, you have to put disallow. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Great questions. Any other questions? Uh, Yeah, some of the tools like Webability and Page Speed Insights are generally available. We will also send you the links along with this presentation. You can take a look on those tools. And some of the tools are also our proprietary tools, which is also available, directly. It is publicly available. I'll send the links for those as well. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that. Any other questions? Sounds good. Thanks everyone for joining. It was a great, afternoon for giving this presentation. And as I said, we'll be sharing the recordings and the presentation to everyone, and we'll meet you in some other webinar shortly. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day.